Hey guys, this is Miss Faina. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're starting Unit 3, Polynomial Features. So we're going to talk about degrees of polynomials. A polynomial is anything that has a variable to an exponent, but the exponent can't be negative, the variable can't be in the denominator, no absolute values, no radicals. So looking at this, we have one term, it's x cubed. So the degree of this is 3. We're just looking for the biggest exponent of the polynomial. Okay, if we look at example 2, notice we only have one term, but we have multiple variables. We have an x, a y, and a z. What we're going to do to find the degree of this is we're going to add up all of the exponents to determine the degree. So we have a 2, a 4, and the z has an exponent of 1. So 2 plus 4 plus 1 gives me 7. So this has a degree of 7. Looking at example 3, I have a polynomial that has 4 different terms. I'm looking for the biggest exponent. My biggest exponent is 5, which means this is a degree of 5. Okay, if I look at example 4, I just have negative 12. I don't have a variable. Okay, since I have no variable, my degree is 0. Example 5, notice I have 2 terms, but I have multiple variables. So I need to add each of the set of variables to see which one gives me the bigger degree. So I get 2 and 1, that's 3. 1 and 5, that gives me 6. So my degree of this polynomial is 6. Okay, moving on to standard form and the leading coefficient, and I added number of terms. Okay, to put the equation into standard form, we need to go from greatest to least with our exponents. So my biggest exponent in this example 1 is a 5. So negative 13x to the 5th goes first. And then the next smallest one is a negative 6x squared plus 2x plus 5. So again, if you notice, my exponents are descending. They're going from the biggest to the smallest. My leading coefficient is my number in front of my variable with the biggest exponent. So in this one, it would be a negative 13. If it's in standard form, it's just your first term. Now, number of terms. Terms are separated by plus or minus signs. So I have, let me change colors so we can see. I have one term here, 2 terms, 3 terms, and 4 terms. So number of terms is 4. Okay, looking at example 2, to put it in standard form, I need my biggest exponent, which would be x to the 9th. So I have a negative 12x to the 9th plus 4x to the 5th plus 4. My leading coefficient, the number in front of the variable with the biggest exponent, negative 12. And I have 1, 2, 3 terms, again separated by plus or minus signs. Okay, now we need to talk about naming polynomials, okay, by the number of terms. So if there's only one term, it's a monomial. 2 terms, binomial. 3 terms, trinomial. And 4 or more terms are just polynomials. Okay, everything is a polynomial that we will be talking about, but we like to be super specific. So we have monomial, binomial, trinomial, and then everything else is just a polynomial. Naming by the degree. So if you look and you don't have any variables and an exponent with it, it's a degree of 0 that is known as a constant. An example would be negative 9. If you have just one variable to the first power, it's linear. If you have an x squared in there and that's the highest degree, you have a quadratic. If you have an x to the 3rd power and that's your highest exponent, that's cubic. And then we have x to the 4th, which would make it a quartic, and an x to the 5th, which would make it a quintic. Okay, anything above 5 we don't have a name for. We just say 6th degree polynomial, 7th degree polynomial, like that. So on this next page, we have an example. We want to put it in standard form, find the leading coefficient, identify the number of terms, the degree of the polynomial, and then we want to name it using what the last 2 pages were about. So to put it in standard form, again, I go from greatest to least with my exponent. So x to the 5th is my biggest exponent. I have a negative 12x and then a plus 5. So it's in standard form. My leading coefficient is my first number, if it's in standard form, which is 5, or the number in front of the variable with the biggest exponent. It has 1, 2, 3 terms. My degree is fifth. Okay, that's my highest exponent. Oh, I forgot to put the 2 right there. Now to name it, we're going to name it by the degree and the number of terms. So the degree is 5, which makes it a quintic. Hopefully I spelled that right. I did. Okay, now I need to name it by its term. It has 3 terms, which makes it a trinomial. See if I can spell that. So it's a quintic trinomial. So this is the video for polynomial features. Make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel.